Shalom, everybody. We're really happy that you have come this morning. I guess that this prayer that Pastor Mika prayed actually means that you can start eating. Like we say in Israel, betavon, bon appetit. And we are really excited for this time that we have gathered here for Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast. I'm really excited because Finland is the first Nordic country that is having the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast in their capital, Helsinki. I think it's quite a remarkable thing, being first in the Nordic countries. Hi Finland, are you alive? You are happy? So we want to invite our first speaker, Yehuda Glick, Rabbi Yehuda Glick, former Knesset member, spoke yesterday, and you are always been an inspiration. You said in The Hague that you checked in, you're still alive. Yeah. So please, everybody, welcome one and only Rabbi Yehuda Glick.
Wow, good morning, and thank you, Pastor Charles, for the blowing of the shofar, and thank you, Huma, Humativa, Human, Huaminta, Huma, Huba, Human, Huaminta, okay. Actually, I'm here today to confess that I'm not only representing Israel today, I'm also representing one of the Nordic countries which is not represented here today. Lately, after my wife and myself got married, we moved to Jerusalem. And we live on a street called Iceland Street. So we are here representing Iceland also as well. With the blowing of the shofar, it reminded me that these are the days that we're preparing. And another week and a half, we will be celebrating the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, according to our tradition, is not only the first day of the year, but is actually the first day of humanity. According to the Jewish tradition, on the 25th day of Elul, which this year also is the 25th day of September, the beginning of the creation of the world and creation of man was on Rosh Hashanah. In these days, towards that, for 50 days, we recite every single day, twice a day, total of 100 times, in our synagogue, the Psalm 27. God, the Lord, is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked advance against me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. And the psalm expresses again and again his confidence that God will always be with him. God will always help him. But just a few sentences later, in that same psalm, suddenly we see a total change. And he's crying out to God, hear my voice when I call you. Be merciful of me. Answer me. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. And it's a total change of atmosphere. He begins with confidence. Everything's okay. God will always be with me. And he concludes with, please, God, save me, save me. My parents have left me. In the middle, between those two sentences, he says, one thing I ask from you, the Lord, that I may dwell in your house for all the days of my life. King David is a king. He can't spend his time in the temple all the days of his life. But what actually he means, he's actually saying all the days of my life, all the different days of my life. Yes, we all know there are days that we feel total confidence in God. And there are times when we feel obstacles and challenges. And in all of those days, I want to feel your closeness to me. King David says to God, I want to feel how close you are to me. And this is the preparation we do for the beginning of the year, when we're going to begin a year, and we know that we want God to always to feel Him, to be confident in Him at every moment in our life. But we know there are going to be times where we feel neglected, alone. As a people, as personal people, as nations, there are times we will feel alone. At all those times, King David says, I wanted all of those times to feel as if I'm in your house, your temple. And it begins with Adonai Ori. We spoke about the creation of the world, the very first thing that God created. The only thing that God said specifically, it is good, is what? The light. On the very first day, God says there shall be light, and it says God looks at the light and He sees the light is good. The Bible teaches us that there are a few things that are called light. Proverbs 6, Ner mitzvah v'torah or. The command is a candle, and the Torah is a light. Because when you're walking in a dark cave, first of all, you need a big light, the Torah. But you also need a small little candle, because it's not enough to know where you're going. You have to look down and make sure not to fall into little obstacles, into little pits. And so the Bible is telling the Torah is light. Number 2, the people of Israel are a light to the nations. Another light. And Jerusalem is the light of the world. Yerushalayim oro shel olam. So God is our light. And we, the land of Israel, the Torah, and Jerusalem are a light to the world. But we're not the light. He is the light. And through us, we will bring light to the entire world. So as we are preparing for the very new year, where we will announce God's kingdom over the world, that's our prayer in Rosh Hashanah, and we say that every one of the creatures shall know that God is the God of the entire universe. And there's only one and only God. And we're waiting for that day where the world will announce He is one, His name is one. And that is what the concept of the Jerusalem prayer breakfast. And as Albert mentioned yesterday, we're back in Israel, in a sovereign country. And yesterday I forgot, of course, to mention, we don't take it for granted that we have ambassadors all over the world. And here we're represented, besides the wonderful team of the JPB and besides the wonderful team of Finland, the representative of the state of Israel. An ambassador, we say it as if it's something we take for granted. No, the state of Israel is a present, a miracle from God. And yes, in the center of the state of Israel, there is a mountain which is waiting for us to turn it into a house of prayer for all nations. It is the peak. The return to Israel is called Zionism. Zion is the name of the mountain. As King David says, and I respect your name on Zion, your mountain. And in Isaiah 2, the return to the mountain is where the Torah comes to the world. The return to the mountain of the house of God. Today, the mountain is in the hands of people who are promoting terror, who are promoting incitement, the exact opposite of everything that represents God. We said God's name is Shalom. Today, it's in the hands of people who are trying to turn it into something else. The change has begun. When I began in 1990, there were only 100 Jews who ascended Temple Mount every year. In 2018, we already had 35,000. In 2010, 180,000 non-Muslims and non-Jews ascended Temple Mount. In 2018, the number was 670,000 because our government outlawed for the first time the northern Islamic movement who were announcing a fight against God, a fight against Israel. But now is the time. I want to remind you, when you go to Israel today, you walk around with the Bible in your hand because this is where the stories took place and this is where the prophecies are being fulfilled. But they don't allow you to go onto the Temple Mount with the Bible. We have to change this. We have to go on, and whenever time everybody who comes to Israel, come to Israel, go up to the mountain of God to announce His kingdom in the world and to remind us that that will be a house of peace, a house of prayer for all nations. Yes, this is where we are today, sitting here and making prayer breakfasts all over the world, in Africa, in Uganda, and Ghana, in London soon, in Finland, in Washington, all over the world, we see, when all the nations come to Jerusalem, there are two options. Either they're coming to siege Jerusalem, or they're coming to announce the kingdom of Jerusalem, of God and the King of Jerusalem. It's in our hands to make sure the Temple Mount once again becomes a world center for shalom. It's in our hands to call upon the nations to turn it into a house of prayer, to allow prayer for all people on Temple Mount, to allow to walk on the Temple Mount with our Bible in our hand. And as I see the clock is beating me, and therefore I want to conclude with Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Imloch, Le'olam Va'ed. God is the King, God was the King, God will be the King forever and ever. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Hey, everybody, this is the day. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day the Lord has made. The Lord has made, and it's our job to make it, because God created the world, and the final words of the creation was, He created for us to do. I appoint all of us to take upon ourselves the assignment, as Robert said yesterday, to fill in the numbers of the lottery, to actually take upon ourselves to announce to the world, this is the day, and God is one, God's kingdom is one, He will be one, and His name is one forever and ever. Shalom.